One day this summer, the S&P 500 closed up a penny. 1 cent. 6.5 hours of trading, and the biggest scoreboard in finance barely moved. Sounds like the most boring day of the year. It was not. That same afternoon, the Dow gained almost 600 points. The Nasdaq fell more than 1.5%. Apple rose almost 5%. Tesla dropped 7.5%. One market, three answers. So which one is the market? They cannot all be right. Here's the thing, they all are. 5 parts, and by the end, you will never read a market headline the same way. Let's go. Start with what that number even is. The S&P 500 is not the market. It is a scoreboard for 500 companies, one number standing in for all of them. And here is the part most people miss. It is not a vote. It is a weigh-in. Every company does not get one say. Bigger companies get a bigger say, much bigger. A company worth 100 times more than another moves the number 100 times harder. Size is the whole story. Think of it like weighing a whole team at once. One very large player moves the total more than 5 small ones combined. Nobody voted. The scale just reports weight. That is exactly what the index does 500 times over. Same index, same 500 names, wildly different power. So a handful of giants can carry the whole scoreboard while 400 and something others barely register. That flat penny close was not 500 companies agreeing. It was a tug of war that ended even. Look at what actually happened that day. Apple finished up almost 5%. Big company, big weight. One name doing a lot of the lifting. Now the other side. Tesla fell 7.5%. Micron fell 5.5%. Meta fell almost 5%. 3 of the 4 biggest movers went down, and the scoreboard still closed even. That is the weigh-in doing its job. One heavy winner can carry a pile of losers because it is not counting names, it is counting weight. The number does not lie. It just answers a different question than the one you asked. You asked how stocks did. It answered how the weight did. Now the strange part, there is not one scoreboard. There are 3. The Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq. Same day, same hours, same country. On that flat day, the Dow finished up over 1%. The S&P closed even. The Nasdaq lost more than 1.5%. Top to bottom, that is a gap of almost 3 percentage points in a single session. It is the widest split in our whole archive. Why? Because the 3 scoreboards weigh different companies. Start with how many names are even in them. 30 companies in the Dow, 500 in the S&P, about 100 of the biggest non-bank names in the Nasdaq index. Different lists, different sizes, different rules about who gets in. The Dow leans old and industrial. The Nasdaq leans technology. So a rough day for chips barely scratches one scoreboard and guts another. Same market, different scales, different answers. 3 headlines, all true and all telling you something else. If that were a fluke, it would only run one direction. It does not. Another day that summer, the whole thing flipped. The Dow fell more than 500 points. The Nasdaq finished higher. The S&P sat in between, down about 0.25%. Same split, backwards. Look at who was carrying it. Nvidia rose almost 4%. The semiconductor group rose about 2%. On the first day, chips were part of what dragged. Micron fell 5.5%. 4 sessions later, that same corner of the market was doing the lifting. The money had changed seats, and it kept happening. A third day, weeks later, the S&P closed up less than 4 points, almost flat again. Underneath it, the Nasdaq dropped over 1% while the Dow rose. 3 days, same pattern. That is not noise. That is rotation. Money leaving one part of the market and landing in another. Nobody switched markets. The money just moved. And the headline on all 3 days said stocks, as if there were only one answer. Here is what I actually want you to take away. The split is not a rare event. It is always running. Most days, it is just small enough to ignore. Take one more day that summer. Nothing dramatic. The S&P rose about 0.4%. Sounds like a plain green day. Underneath it, the Nasdaq closed lower. Same session. And inside that quiet day, Micron fell 8%, while Apple rose 4%. And notice which names keep showing up. Micron fell on the flat day. Micron fell again on the quiet day, 8% that time. Apple rose on both. The same handful of companies keep deciding what the scoreboard says, while the other 490-something go along for the ride. Green on top, a fight underneath, every single day. The calm number is the average of an argument you never see. So here's your read. The index is one number, not 500. It is a weigh-in, not a vote. There are 3 scoreboards and they disagree on purpose. And when they disagree, that is money moving, not the market breaking. And it takes about 10 seconds. Look at all 3 numbers, not one. If they agree, the whole market moved together. If they split, money rotated. And which one is lagging tells you what got sold. That is the whole read. 3 numbers instead of 1, and the headline stops being able to fool you. Next time a headline says stocks were flat, ask a better question. Flat for who? If this made the game make more sense, subscribe. The free letter at TrenchTom.com is the daily version of what you just watched. That's how the game works. Trench Tom out.